welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Unit 1 Physical World and Measurement for class 11th, and we are discussing the various topics of this unit. I hope you have watched the basic introductory videos of this unit, and today we are going to learn about very important terms which are important as per paper point of view. So without wasting a moment, let us step into these articles, let us step into these terms. So first of all, I would like to introduce the various other units of length, which are the larger units of length and are used to find the astronomical distances. So in order to calculate the astronomical distances, we use three other units of length, which are the bigger units of length. So first unit of length which is used is called astronomical unit. So one astronomical unit is represented by AU. So let us define an astronomical unit. It is the average distance between the sun and earth. So the length between, or the separation between the earth and the sun is given by one astronomical unit, and the value of one astronomical unit is equal to 1.496 into 10 raised to power 11 meter. We can write it as one astronomical unit is nearly equal to 1.5 into 10 raised to power 11 meter. So the unit which describes the separation between the earth and the sun is called astronomical unit, and hence it is a bigger unit of length. The second unit which we make use of is called light year, and it is represented by LY. So one light year is the amount of distance which is traveled by light in one complete year in vacuum. So the total distance which light travels in a vacuum in 1 year gives us 1 light year. And in order to calculate the value of 1 light year, we know speed is equal to distance upon time. Therefore, we have distance is equal to speed multiplied by time. We know in vacuum light travel with a speed of 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per second. Therefore, we can say 1 light year is equal to speed multiplied by 1 year. That is, it is equal to 3 into 10 raised to power 8 into 1 year. As the speed of light is expressed in meter per second, that is, it is in SI unit, we cannot leave the time in terms of year. So in order to convert year into second, we have to do some of the steps. So we have 1 light year is equal to 3 into 10 raised to power 8 multiplied by 365 days. Now we will convert days into hours. So we have 1 light year is equal to 3 into 10 raised to power 8 into 365 into 24 hours. Now we will convert hours into minutes. So we have 1 light year is equal to 3 into 10 raised to power 8 into 365 into 24 into 60 minutes. Now we will convert minutes into seconds. So we have 1 light year is equal to 3 into 10 raised to power 8 into 365 into 24 into 60 into 60. So now we have converted 1 year into seconds. Already speed is given in 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per second. So now after solving all these terms, we are left with 1 light year is equal to 9.46 into 10 raised to power 15 meter. So this is the value of 1 light year, that is 9.46 into 10 raised to power 15 meter. So this is the average distance which light travels in vacuum when it travels with the speed of 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per second for one complete year. So this is a very big unit of a distance, or a very big unit of a length. So such kind of distances are used, or such kind of units are used when we have to deal with the astronomical distances. Now the third important unit of length is parsec. We call it as parallactic second. It is defined as the distance at which an arc of one astronomical unit subtends an angle of 1 second. We know angle is equal to arc upon radius. Therefore, angle into radius is equal to arc, or I can say that radius is equal to arc upon angle. As this radius is defined as parsec, therefore I can say 1 parsec is equal to arc, that is equal to 1 astronomical unit. So 1 parsec is equal to 1 astronomical unit divided by the angle which is subtended by the arc. So now 1 astronomical unit is going to subtend an angle of 1 second. Therefore 1 parsec is equal to 1 astronomical unit divided by 1 second. Now we need to convert this unit into SI system. I will have to put the value of astronomical unit, and I will have to put the value of 1 second in terms of radian. So we have already discussed that 1 astronomical unit is equal to 1.496 into 10 raised to power 11 meter. Now we need to calculate the value of 1 second. So let us calculate the value of 1 second in terms of radian first of all, then we will put it in this equation. As we know, pi radians is equal to 180 degree. Therefore 1 degree is equal to pi upon 180 radian. Now we know 1 degree is equal to 60 minutes. So instead of writing 1 degree, I can put 60 minutes is equal to pi upon 180 radian. Therefore 1 minute is equal to pi upon 180 multiplied by 60 radian, and then we have 1 minute is equal to 60 second. So we can say 60 second is equal to pi divided by 180 into 60 radian, and therefore 1 second is equal to pi divided by 180 into 60 radian. So this is the value of 1 second, that is pi divided by 180 into 60 radian. So substituting all this value, we are left with 1 parsec is equal to 1.496 into 10 raised to power 11 divided by 1 by 60 into pi upon 180 radian. So solving this equation, we will get 1 parsec is nearly equal to 3.08 into 10 raised to power 16 meter, or I can say it is nearly equal to 3.1 into 10 raised to power 16 meter. So this is the value of 1 parsec. So we have talked about 3 bigger units of length, that is 1 astronomical unit, 1 light year, and 1 parsec. So these 3 units of length are very important in order to determine the astronomical distances, that is the distance between the earth and various other planets, or the distance between the earth and various other stars or galaxies. So these 3 units play a very important role. Today we will also talk about the indirect methods of measurement. So the only method which I will discuss today is the triangulation method. So this triangulation method of measurement of length, that is to measure the height of the buildings, is used in 2 ways, because we can use this method not only to find the height of the building to which we can have an access, and we can also use this method in order to find the height of the object which is not accessible. So the method which I am going to discuss is triangulation method. We will use this method for an accessible object. Let us say we are having a building of height AB. So this is the building AB, and this AB is represented by height H. So as this building is accessible, so we can easily touch this building. So from the base of this building, let us mark some distance with the help of measuring tape. So with the help of measuring tape, what we are going to do, we are going to mark our position. So let us say we have moved d distance, small d distance apart from the foot of the building, such that we have placed our apparatus at point C. So at point C, we have fixed a apparatus, and we call this apparatus as sextant. So sextant is a device with the help of which we can measure the height of the building. So with this device, what we can do, we can make the angle of elevation on the top of the building. So with the help of this sextant, we are focusing on the top of the building, and we will record the angle theta, that is angle of elevation. Now we need to find the value of AB, but the value of AC is already known to us, which we have calculated with the help of measuring tape. So using the trigonometric function tangent theta, we know tangent theta is equal to perpendicular upon base. Here AB is perpendicular and BC is base. Therefore, tangent theta is equal to AB upon BC is equal to H upon D. As theta is calculated with the help of sextant and D is calculated with the help of measuring tape, therefore we have H is equal to D tan theta. So this is the expression with the help of which we can determine the height of the building which is accessible. Now we will use this triangulation method in order to calculate the height of an inaccessible object. So let us say we are having a hill or we are having a mountain to which we cannot reach. So if we are unable to touch that mountain, so what we are going to do, we will be having some distance and we do not know at what distance we are standing from that mountain. So let us say AB is the height of the mountain and we are positioned at C. We do not know at what distance from the foot of mountain we are standing. So at point C we will place our sextant. Let's say AC is equal to X and this X distance is not known to us. Now at point C we have placed the sextant and we will focus this sextant on the top of mountain, that is on the crown of the mountain. When we have focused the sextant on the crown of the mountain, then we will get angle of elevation theta 1. Now from point C we will put our measuring tape and with the help of measuring tape we will mark some of our distance and we will move a step behind, and let's say we reach at point D such that the distance between initial point and the final point is small d. Now we will fix our apparatus, that is sextant, at point D, and again we will make the angle of elevation at the crown of the mountain, at the top of the mountain. So let's say this time we received the other observation and the other angle theta 2. So now we are having angle theta 2 with us. Now the distance CD is known but the distance AC is unknown. Still we want to determine the height H. Here we will use the equation, that is trigonometric function cotangent theta. First of all, we have in triangle ABC, cot theta 1 is equal to base upon perpendicular. Here base is AC and perpendicular is AB. So cot theta 1 is equal to AC divided by AB. Therefore, we have cot theta 1 is equal to AC, that is X, which is not known, divided by height H. This is our equation number 1. Similarly, in triangle ABD, we have cot theta 2 is equal to base, that is AD, divided by perpendicular, that is AB. So, we have cot theta 2 is equal to D plus X divided by H. So, this is our equation number 2. Now we are going to subtract these two equations. So we have cot theta 2 minus cot theta 1 is equal to D plus X upon H minus X upon H. So separating out these terms or taking the LCM, let us take the LCM. The LCM in this case will be H. So we are having H in LCM and in the numerator we are left with D plus X minus X. So plus X minus X could be cancelled out. So we are left with cot theta 2 minus cot theta 1 is equal to D upon H. As we were determined to calculate the height of the mountain, therefore we have H is equal to D upon cot theta 2 minus cot theta 1. As we have already calculated theta 1 and theta 2 with the help of sextant, therefore to calculate cot theta 1 and cot theta 2 is not a difficult job. So knowing the values of D, that is distance between C and D point, which is measured with the help of measuring tape, and knowing the value of theta 1 and theta 2, we can calculate the height of the inaccessible object. So that is all for today. I hope you have understood the concepts. If yes, then do not forget to press like, subscribe and share button, and do press the bell icon in order to get the latest notifications on my videos.